You're listening to the Game Tenants Podcast.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Game Tenants Podcast. Failed adventures of two gamers and their quest for Gamecast stardom. This is episode 33, and I am Church of the Game Grinder, joined by my awesome co-host.
Corpse Flood. How's it going, guys?
And
good to be back.
Yes, and today we are joined by a special guest. This podcast was 2 months in the making, technical difficulties aplenty, but we are joined by Black Metal Gamer. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about your channel.
What's up, everybody? Black Metal Gamer!
Right on.
I'm here to lick some cunts and kick in some nuts. What's up, fellas?
Things are good, man. Glad we could finally make this happen. It's been kind of life difficulties after life difficulties for like the last couple months, it seems.
Yeah, life happens. You can't really... Yeah. Well, there's only one way to stop it, but you don't really want to go about doing that.
Dark. We're going to start this one off dark. Yeah, so, of course, yeah, so thanks for joining us, Black Metal Gamer. We are going, with this episode, we're going to go with Black Metal Gamer and Corpse Flood because both are named Jason, so to help make things less confusing for everybody. So, with that said, then we'll just kind of jump into our usual opening segment here of what we've been up to over the last couple weeks. So, BMG, you want to go ahead and take it away?
Yeah, I've been playing retro games to cleanse my palate of modern gaming because I just came off of, 2 months ago playing 100 hours of Neo with New Game Plus.
Yep.
Which was a foolish idea. Playing another open world game that's like long, so I put like 60 hours into that. So to break that mold, I played a linear game, played Shadow Warrior, and ever since that, after I beat that, just been playing my retro pod. I've been playing like Castlevania and stuff like that.
Did you play the original Shadow Warrior or the reboot?
Reboot from 2014 on PS4.
Castlevania is always a good go-to, though, for the classics. I always go back
I have a newfound love for Dracula X. A lot of people bash that game. To me, it feels like a better remake version of 1.
Yeah, it's pretty solid, I find, but it's just, I think they always compare it to 4 with being able to whip in all directions and all the kind of things that added. It seemed to take out, I think is why it gets all the hate, but I still enjoyed it.
Well, I can understand that, but I like the unique magic abilities when you press was it X, Y? I don't know, I forget what the top button is. I think the Y button.
Most of the hate for Dracula X comes from it being a butchered port of Rondo of Blood, which is
that too.
Vastly superior. But, I mean, as is, Dracula X was a cool game. Like, I rented it plenty of times back in the day.
Yeah, I just view it as its own thing. Rondo of Blood's completely different.
Yeah, it plays a lot different too, yeah, but it's they're both solid games. I mean, I love all my Castlevanias. I could go on all day about Castlevania too.
Oh yeah, totally.
Bloodline's my favorite to go back to whenever I feel like just chucking one on. I think it's because it's my first Castlevania. But it's
Bloodline is good stuff, man.
Yeah, and no one seems to use the Eric Lecard, the dude with the spear, but I loved the spear. I thought it was a cool alternative.
Yeah, for sure. So then, I guess, Corpse Flood, what have you been up to in the last couple weeks?
Well, just more of getting my game room together, getting everything set up the way I want so I can have everything more conveniently ready with my limited time to just grab and go and play. I've been picking up a lot of Wii U stuff recently, so I've been playing a lot of that with the kids, actually.
Nice.
I got a couple of good clearance deals on some of the kiddier titles, which coming from Nintendo is about 75% of them, but, you know.
Right.
Kirby's Epic, Kirby, not Epic Yarn, the Rainbow Curse, Yoshi's Woolly World, and Mario Party 10 last week on clearance and crap like that.
Nice.
So I've been playing that with the kids. They've been enjoying the hell out of it. Mario Party 10's not the best, as everyone pretty much knows at this point, I think. But yeah, it's still fun to play with someone else. It's not something I want to play by myself. But aside from that, I've been chipping away at some Breath of the Wild as usual, but not really getting anywhere. Something seems to come up and interrupt that every time. And from our trade, I've got the Tokyo Mirage sessions I want to get to right away, so I'll try and blast through the rest of Zelda as quick as possible.
Do you know how far along you are at this point?
Well, I basically ran around and just collected all quests. I just explored the hell out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just like, I've got so many quests, I can just pick what I want to do. So at any point, I could probably just go, okay, I got to do this and this, and then I can just go beat the game if I really want to. But I don't really want to, fast track and ruin the experience. So I could beat it in probably like 5 hours, but I could also beat it in like 100 hours.
Sure.
So it'll be a game I think I'm just going to go back to. I don't think I'm going to play it solid anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just be like a game I go to enough to be familiar with it and not lose my place, but I'll play some other shorter games in between, like games I can pick up, like BMG was saying, like a palate cleanse, and I need to knock out some shorter games.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about last time with the wanting the difficulty setting of, I got shit to do to eliminate grinding and stuff in games and make it so we can get through more awesome games quickly. That would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
But aside from that, I got some arcade cabinets coming in. I don't know if any of them are in working order or what, but at least I got some cool husks to play with. So stay tuned for more info on that. But I'm glad to have something to work with, since some of my other arcade cabinets I got a couple months, like last summer there. Some of them were kind of in flimsy shape, so I can, upgrade, swap some guts, play around. Fun stuff. So that's about it. What's new with you, Church?
Well, before that, I also want to give a shout out to a video that you were a part of.
Oh, yes.
It's definitely worth mentioning if you want to.
Yeah, I mentioned it last podcast, but yeah, I did a collaboration video with Christopher Pico, also known as the Old Ass Retro Gamer. And there was about 10 guests, I believe, in this one. And it was a terrible movie-based games. It was a lot of fun to find a selection for, because we all selected one and he selected 5. It was really an honor to be a part of it. It was really a cool thing. I know you've been a part of his Good Games based on movies series he did, so that was kind of cool to be a part of that one.
For sure.
Yeah, because there's good and bad with that kind of shit, but it was a lot of fun. I think it might have been my best work as far as videos so far, so I'm going to try and keep up with that quality, and I've got my new intro to play with that I'll be happy to unveil in my next video.
Yeah. Something to definitely look forward to, but if anybody hasn't checked out the collab video yet, go to the Old Ass Retro Gamer, go to his channel and give it a watch. It's really cool.
I really like the turnout. His editing is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So then for me, little things, nothing too significant going on over the last couple weeks. Of course, the last podcast I'd mentioned that weekend I was going to a Minnesota Retro Gamer Society meetup, which I did. As per usual, it was a great time. Got to meet, hang out with a lot of the local collectors and gamers. Picked up some pretty awesome stuff, which will be in a future pickup video.
You did.
And then I put out another video for Henshin Engine, just kind of a update, kind of where it's at. It's still in development. I believe they're looking at releasing it this fall. But just something fun to do. I was going to the Midwest Gaming Classic. My friend who is doing testing for the game was going to be there. The creator was going to be there. So I figured, hey, why not try to do a little interview and he just happened to say, hey, you're going to be getting a demo as well. So I was like, well, I'll throw together a little video. So interview, kind of disappointed with the audio, but I didn't want to like trash it because of that. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with how that video turned out. So if anybody hasn't seen Henshin Engine yet, it's a really cool looking platformer that's being released on disc for the TurboGrafx CD, but then they're also doing ports, Dreamcast, PC, and there's a couple other versions, I believe, which they haven't announced yet. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I've got to try that out.
And then just received my Kickstarter Dark Souls board game, which I backed like last year. I wasn't sure what was going on with it, and just been trying to keep up on updates recently. And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's shipping." That was like 3 months ago, and then 2 months ago they're like, "Oh yeah, it's shipping." And then a month ago they're like, "Oh yeah, it's shipping," and then they're finally like, "Oh yep, they finally shipped." So it showed up. I haven't played it yet. I'll probably do an unboxing video, and then I'm actually gonna have some friends over this weekend to play it, and I'm gonna try to do a setup where I can like kind of record some of the gameplay, and maybe I can put together a review video for it.
Please tell me there's Siegward of Katarina and Solaire the Night Pawns.
Not in the base game, but they're essentially what they did was they had their base game, and then pretty much all the stretch goals were expansions, and they hit a crap ton of stretch goals. I'm getting like 5 of the add-ons, but the add-ons aren't shipping until this fall, which is kind of a drag. But there's they got like boss add-ons, which it's just like a huge boss figure. Kind of think of like Hero Quest figures, but like massive and way more detailed. Exactly looking like they do in the game.
That's so badass.
They got like
that's amazing.
All different kinds of expansions. Like for anybody who hasn't checked out Dark Souls the board game, if you have any interest in Dark Souls, or if you have any interest in kind of like really like in-depth kind of challenging sort of not strategy is not the right word, but really cool board games, definitely recommend checking it out. I'm pretty familiar with what it comes with, even though I haven't opened it yet, but like the big allure with Dark Souls board game is the replayability. Like right off the bat, you get a few or 2 bosses, I think, or one. I can't remember exactly the contents, but there's like different versions of the game you can play, and it like plays out completely different. It's pretty dang tough, which I mean makes sense. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. I really wish I had the expansions, but then again, at the same time, the expansions aren't needed right now because those you're going to use to like replay the game or do different scenarios. And
yeah,
I figured in the
play out the regular base game first.
Yeah. But taking a video game and making a board game out of it, like not just because I backed it or whatever, or I have it. From what I've played, and I've played quite a few board games in my days, this is like a pretty damn good adaptation to try to bring the video game to the tabletop.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to try the Gears of War one when it came out. It doesn't look nearly as cool as the Dark Souls one, so for sure. I recently found out about a Mega Man board game though, and I think with how much my kids love Mega Man, I'm gonna have to pick that up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, for sure. And then a few months ago, I actually played the second version. So there's 2 versions of Doom for board games. Basically, there's original version of Doom, the board game, which has some flaws to it, and then like there's another version that was made, and that's the one I played. My friend has it. I think essentially they're very similar, but really, really fun. Kind of complicated, much like the Dark Souls game looks, but fun games nonetheless.
All right, once you figure them out how to play, it's just all the instructions make it like seem really convoluted. But once you actually learn how to play it, you can teach other people a lot faster than
Right.
the first person learning how to play it is the one who has the real challenge.
Yes. And then as far as what I've been playing, pretty much Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, that game is still just so long. It's like, goddamn you companies for making these like massive games that I can enjoy for tens and hundreds of hours. Like,
Well,
why
that's
must
why
you give me all this content?
That's why it's called Mass Effect, because it's so massive it affects the rest of the games that you
Well,
want
and
to play.
it's like, you know, like straight up like hashtag first world problem sort of thing. It's like, oh no, they gave me a 100-hour long game and I'm gonna complain about it. I'm not really complaining, but
Yeah.
as we talked like before, you know, this year it seems like I've just made the choices to play like really long games, and much like you guys were saying, it's either I need to just squeeze in a couple short games, or when I'm done with it, I need to play through a few short games. Like, I got Little Nightmares, which I really want to play.
That's supposed to be a really short game, but a really cool one.
That's
Yeah.
like 3 to 4 hours, dude.
Yeah,
Beat that in the afternoon.
you know, but then again, there could be 3-4 more hours of me getting through Mass Effect. Like, right now I think I have like 55 hours, and I'm like 55% way through the game. It's like,
Yeah.
and I mean, and I know there's been a lot of like, you know, people complaining about the game, people saying the game's not good, and at this point, 55 hours in, I'm still playing it. I'm still having a blast. I gotta disagree with most of the complaints. Now, saying that it's like the 4th best Mass Effect, like, I would agree with that. Like, the original trilogy is definitely still like holds up better, but by no means is Andromeda a bad game. It's kind of different.
So it's basically is it like the Dark Souls 2 of Mass Effect? It's still a good game, just worse in the series?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
And it's now at this point, it's like the best comparison I can really give is like, if you've played Dragon Age Inquisition, like, that's basically what Mass Effect Andromeda is it's a lot of like going to different planets, you know, comparable to the different regions, you know, lots and lots of quests, you know, and that's the thing is like, a lot of games, when they just throw like tons and tons of side quests, like, usually they're just frivolous, like dumb stuff, and to some extent that is true with Andromeda, but all the quests are, I mean, they seem very like focused on world building, like just kind of like sharing the struggles of like the scavengers or the exiles or people setting up colonies and things like that. It's all like really cool stuff, and
So it's like
there's a lot of like weird, quirky side quests and some funny things happening and some pretty serious shit. And I'm starting to get to the point in the story where things are like I don't know, like where I'm at right now, I don't really know what's going to happen, but it could be really awesome. But we'll see what happens.
Well, that's cool. As long as it has like side quests, like I was saying, how I enjoyed about The Witcher, like every side quest felt like it mattered.
Yeah.
Like Witcher 3, that's what I really enjoyed about the game. So as long as that's a thing, yeah, because I don't like when everything's just a fetch quest, like go 3 solar systems to get me the capacitor for my rifle. Like,
Yeah.
Why don't you do that?
right. And one thing I guess this is probably my fault for not like researching things enough, but I have no idea if like decision making in Andromeda like makes any difference. Whereas, you know, the original Mass Effect trilogy, choice was like a huge factor that like carried over from game to game. And even like in some of the later things, like when they would refer back to events, like it was really like surprising. Like, oh, I can't believe they built off that decision. So I'm trying to keep that in mind, but not be like too hung up on some of the choices, because they throw a lot of really like gray area kind of things at you throughout the game.
No, there's a guy you like barely see in the first one, and it affects him in the third one. He's like, "You were really nice to me at one point."
Oh yeah. Well, I think the guy you're talking didn't he show up in like all 3 games or something?
Yeah, he was kind of like a little Weasley guy at first, and he just kind of needed some help, and you're like, seemed really sketchy, but if you helped him, it definitely came back to you like near the end. I don't even remember what it was, but yeah, I think we're thinking of the same guy.
Yeah. So BMG, have you played any of the Mass Effect games?
No, that was a series I never got into.
Just not interested, or just haven't gotten to it?
I'm not really into sci-fi RPGs. It's not my thing.
Okay, fair enough. Not for everybody.
I'd say it's probably definitely a boring one to watch somebody else play, because my wife was like, "Oh, you're just still talking to people. You just walk around and talk to people for like hours, and it's fun for you if you're playing, but it's just like watching any RPG, I suppose, for somebody else who's watching it. They're like, just talking to people, huh? You gonna fight anybody? Yeah, I'm talking about fighting that guy. I'm getting
I'd be
everyone
really
ready."
down if they did the Souls approach and made a sci-fi like roguelike RPG.
That would be badass.
It would. Lightsabers and phaser guns and shit.
Yeah, essentially. I think I was reading about something that was in development like that, or I can't remember. But I guess enough about what we've been up to. We can kind of just run through a few like just little current news things that we thought were worth talking about a little bit, and then we will kind of jump into the bulk of the discussions with some more interesting topics. So we're just kind of, I got a little list here, and we'll just kind of go down bullet points, and if you got anything to throw in, feel free to do so, or we'll just kind of keep it rolling. So I know neither of you are really much of Overwatch people, and I won't talk about Overwatch too much, but we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary, and a lot of people are wondering if Blizzard was going to do anything for the 1-year anniversary of Overwatch, and they are now starting to put out information that, sure enough, starting on May 23rd through April 6th or 9th or something, they're going to do an anniversary event. I'm suspecting there's going to be more character skins. They're already showing off some like character emotes and character voice lines, which, as a game where you can do the loot crates by playing and get the extra stuff, that's always really cool. Probably going to be looking at a new game mode. There's been some like leaks about some new maps, and I've been on kind of an Overwatch hiatus for a few months. I did play a little bit of the last event, but I think I will probably check this one out just because being the Overwatch guy and taking part in celebration of what I think is a really cool game.
Oh yeah, that's definitely cool. Blizzard's always really good for their anniversaries and stuff for their franchises.
And the events with Overwatch, like they actually like put some work into them. Like the game modes that they've put out are, for the most part, they're a lot different than normal gameplay. Like there was kind of like a last summer during the Olympic Games in Brazil or whatever, they did like this thing called Lucio Ball, which is essentially Rocket League, a mode that you played. That was a lot of fun.
Lucille Ball? Isn't that Lucy from I Love Lucy?
Lucille Ball. Yes, that is correct, but it's Lucio, which is close.
Oh,
And
Lucio. Okay.
I wonder if anybody's actually made that joke. We'll have to
I
hold.
got it right when you said it. I'm like, what, the actress?
Yeah. Right away, I was like, well, that's kind of
Lucille Ball.
name.
No, Lucio. Lucio.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's something to look forward to for anybody who does play Overwatch. I know there are a couple of people that listen that play Overwatch, and they probably already know about the event. But if you don't, hey, something to be stoked for. And then next thing I got here, I don't know if either of you guys have heard about this, but there is a Kickstarter for an upcoming game called Project Rabbit.
Yeah, what's this all about? I haven't heard anything
BMG,
about it.
have you heard about this?
No, what is it?
Project Rap. It's and I don't know if I like to muddle my words, but rap, R-A-P, rabbit, R-A-B-B-I-T. Essentially, it's the creator of Parappa the Rapper and the creator of a Japanese music rhythm game that I forget the name of it.
That's funny, because I was actually just going to say it totally sounds like something out of a Parappa franchise or something.
I don't know if this was a Japanese exclusive or not. Gitaru Man?
Gitaru Man? Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Okay. Yeah, so the creator of Parappa the Rapper, Jammer Lammy, and then the creator of this Gitaru Man, which I guess is a pretty big game, are essentially making a new gen rhythm music game. I think it's going to be obviously like rap hip hop based. And it looks like they're like up in the art style quite a bit. Hand-drawn animation, so on and so forth.
Well, they need kind of a little bit of a renaissance for that kind of genre. It's something I'll be in. It's more of a skip hop for me. But people who dig the rhythm games will probably be into that.
Skip hop?
Yeah,
I like that.
Skip hop, yeah, I'll skip hop.
I'll skip it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, like, I'm not, I mean, obviously, none of us are really, like, rap guys, per se, but, you know, there's some stuff here and there that I enjoy, but I did really enjoy Parappa the Rapper.
Oh, yeah, I liked it back in the day, definitely.
There is they did a HD remaster for Parappa the Rapper, mostly digital, but there is I'm not sure I can't remember who the publisher is, but somebody did a physical release.
PlayAsia.
Yeah, well, PlayAsia has it for sale.
It has it for sale, but I'm not sure who's putting it out yet.
And I do want to get it. I don't know if it's sold out yet. It's been out for a little while, but I'm trying to not spend as much as I'm looking over at like the mound of games I have sitting that I haven't put on my shelf.
You know, I'm your sponsor or something for Gameaholics Anonymous, but you know how I'm terrible.
Sure. BMG, have you played Parappa the Rapper?
Demo disc back in the day a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think
I rented it at Hollywood Video back in the day.
Yeah, I never owned it, but I remember playing it at a friend's house, and we had some fun with it. You know, it's just when it was something new. Just kind of like how Guitar Hero, when it was new, was kind of a fun idea, and then they put out 4 games a year and flooded the market and wrecked it.
Well,
yeah,
those are cutting out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
What the hell's going on here? Hold on.
When it first came out, like, it was just a fun thing to drink and play with friends and, you know, have a good time, but then it just became like ridiculous. It became really overpopular, and it got old pretty quick for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Guitar Hero thing. Is somebody in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in was talking about a game that they picked up, and I wasn't sure if it was like they had like a rare Guitar Hero game or something. So I was looking at like just the PlayStation 2 releases, and good lord, yeah, there's like 10 or 12 Guitar Hero games with PS2 alone.
Which is like that with Just Dance, like even with the last gens, they just kept throwing them out on the last gens.
Like multiples a year, like that's too many.
Yeah.
Shovelware.
Well,
Yeah,
that should have been DLC, not new full $60 games. All those, you know, what the fuck is it called? Guitar Hero Metallica, Guitar Hero Aerosmith, Guitar Hero Tiny Tim. Like, no one asked for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, especially when they were putting out the downloadable songs every week, too. You're like, well, just one or the other. You don't need to have a completely new game. Like, you know, like every, what was it, 3 months at one point.
Yeah.
And Rock, especially with another competitor, Rock Band, coming out with 1 or 2 a year. And then all those junky instruments that just take up space. I think I finally cleared out all my drum kits and stuff that I just acquired through pickups. I think I cleared them out to a lady for like $60, and she got like 2 drum kits and like 5 guitars. I was like, please take them.
Yeah. I see them quite a bit, and they're usually pretty cheap. I've thought about picking them up, but we'll see.
I wouldn't mind having a guitar, like just kicking on maybe if someone wanted to come over, but it's just like the drum kits were just everywhere. They were out in my garage when we moved, and I'm like, these are never making it into the house. Like at the old house, there was a spot behind one of my TV stands where I could just throw that kind of junk until I wanted to actually use it. But when we were moving out, I was like, holy shit, I forgot I even had any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not like I was like, oh, I would have been playing it. I still wouldn't have been playing it. It was just like, yeah, that's how much I use it. So I just got rid of it as soon as we moved.
You know what's funny? That's like the only gimmick gaming that Nintendo did not like latch onto, if you think about it.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing, actually.
Well, they had Donkey Konga.
That was about it. Yeah. Well,
No one wanted it.
But they didn't have like Mario Beats or some crap like that. You know, you figured like they'd have like an ocarina you could play, and they could get Link in there and all that.
Yeah.
And the congas would be part of it, and then I don't know, Mario would have a Gitmar or something like that to just be. Really
I would
down.
cradle the decrepit nutsack of Shigeru Miyamoto himself if he gives me Yoshi's Kazoo.
There you go.
There we go.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't want that.
$1 million idea.
We shouldn't have said that. Nintendo's going to take that and then send us a cease and desist like we were developing it.
Yeah. Right. So then I guess moving on, Corpse Blood, you want to take the next ones here?
Yeah, sure. Well, speaking of The Witcher, we were a few minutes ago. It's been announced this week that Netflix is working on a Witcher series based on the books, I believe. So I think that would be a cool watch. Like I said, I didn't fully enjoy The Witcher 3 as much as The Witcher 2, but I really loved the story and the side quests and the world of it. So I think it can make a really, really good series if done correctly. And if it's anything like the other series that Netflix has done, not all of them, but
right.
They've done pretty well with some stuff like Daredevil. Like Daredevil was a hero I didn't give a shit about, and like how great that series was. I don't know if either of you guys have watched it. Have you?
I haven't.
No, I have too much gaming backlog. I have not kept up with much film or TV.
I only have Netflix. I cut off my TV about, I don't know, 8 years ago, and I don't miss it.
Yeah.
Even when I had it, I would download what I missed because I was at work in the evenings.
Pretty
So I was
much.
like, why
yeah.
do I
I
have this crap?
YouTube and Netflix myself. I have cable in the living room, but that's for the wife. I don't bother with it.
Yeah, like even when they actually were trying to get me back after I canceled it, and like gave me a free 1.5 years, and I think I turned it on twice while I was like cleaning the house to have background noise that wasn't local crappy.
I only use
radio
it for
stations.
NFL.
Yeah, and I don't like really watch anything that's live or anything I watch that's a series. Either sometimes I probably missed out on some pretty cool stuff, but usually if it's good enough, I'll hear about it from one of my friends, and then and then I wait till the end of the season and I binge it all anyway, like it's on Netflix. So
Yeah.
that's the
Well,
point.
I think there's a lot of potential. Yeah, a lot of these Netflix originals have been pretty decent shows, and you just kind of have to hope they don't like cheap out too much. Like I'm not too worried about them. Like I don't know. I'd be worried about the effects.
Yeah, I hope they're not Kevin Sorbo-esque. Like
Yeah,
the Kevin
let's.
Sorbo shows.
I don't know. Like if avoiding CG as much as possible, I think
Yeah,
huge.
yeah.
And
Practical effects is probably more of it because it's got a really medieval theme. They
yeah,
could
and
probably.
I mean, I'm not super familiar with the Witcher games. Like, I know enough. I know it's kind of like a blend, like low-high fantasy, more like
Yeah.
low fantasy, I think. So, like, doing a lot of the creatures, like, easily, like, prosthetics and, hags and witches and...
Yeah, it'd basically be on par with like a Lord of the Rings without the gigantic war battles. Like just like the smaller scenes, there's gonna be like some characters that are gonna be CG because Witcher fights all these weird like mythological creatures and stuff. So those are gonna have to be CG mostly.
In a way, it reminds me of Batman living in Middle Earth.
Yeah, basically. And he's apparently such a badass, but he can only take like 3 hits before he dies from just about anything.
I need to go back to that game, man. I'm turned off by its long ass completion time. It's like a 200-hour game.
Yeah, I'm like a. It was funny because like when we talked about it before, I mentioned how I was like, I've never been more conflicted on if I liked the game or not, because I absolutely hate the combat. Not that it was tough or anything; it was just really monotonous.
Yeah, dude, that's what turned me off. The combat felt like a button masher, like no thought into it. I thought it was boring, and to me, Horizon did what The Witcher should have had: good combat.
Yeah, exactly. Like the combat ruins the game. I thought everything else about the game was amazing when it was getting all these like Game of the Year, and I was like,
Could you imagine if Witcher had Dark Souls physics? If it played like Dark Souls, that would be epic.
Yeah, it would be amazing. Like it. I don't know, just in general, it was just like one of those games where like all the guys need their special, like, a special thing you have to do to get them to stop blocking and all that, and it just was so boring, and if like more than 2 guys were fighting you, you had to be like rolling all over the place, and it was just really, I'm in a fight again.
Yeah.
It was just, it was just a really, really boring way of combat, but I think it could be an awesome series. Like I said, that the story of it was awesome, and I was like at 125 hours. I'm like basically right at the end of the game, and I just put it down and it went on to too many other games. I really got to get back to finish it off, and I think I also have the add-ons. My friend bought them, and they just kind of showed up.
I heard Heart of Stone's crap. I heard Blood and Wine is like better than the main game. I heard that's like a completely different, separate story and area you go to. And I heard it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I heard it's like bigger than the game or the same size or something. I'm like, wow.
No, it's a little smaller, but it's pretty equal as far as like the map size, and it's a 40-hour campaign. I heard you could start that first. So if I buy the complete edition, which I probably will, I think I'm going to start Blood and Wine first.
That'd be cool.
Do it.
Yeah, because I don't know. I really want to finish it. I think I should just forsake everything for a bit and finish that game off. Because I bought that day one. It was actually one of the selling points of getting the Xbox One faster than I intended to. Because I was like, well, like when all the games they announced that were coming out, I was like, Batman. I'm probably gonna have to get it when Batman comes out. Oh, I'll have to get it when Battlefront comes out. Because of how much I like the Battlefront series, I was like, that was actually almost a system seller to me.
Sure.
And then like The Witcher was coming out, I'm like, oh, that Witcher just looks too good. So I ended up buying it about 2 months ahead of time where I was planning to. And I wasn't completely disappointed, but like I said, that I was having a discussion every day at work with my coworkers, like, yeah, man, they're like, so do you like it or not? I'm like, oh, yeah, I mentioned it, and I actually not unintentionally ruined it for my friend, because he's like, yeah, man, after talking about the combat with you, when I went and played it some more, I was just like, yeah, this combat really sucks. And he sold it to my other buddy. So I got my other buddy a deal, but then I felt bad for
ruining it.
For my friend. He's like,
the physics feel like an MMO game where you're actually controlling the character, but like it's like abrupt, random, fast like animations.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to explain. It doesn't feel fluid with the combat.
No, because I felt everything was just blocking all the time, and you'd have to do all these other things to break their block. And I find that really annoying in games. Like even speaking of like Batman, the Batman games, when you start getting later in the game, and all these guys have like shock tasers and all these there's all these different gadgets you have to do to stun an enemy so you can actually beat them up. It started to feel like that, except for not knocking the Batman games at all. They do that well. Whereas The Witcher did not. Like, The Witcher is just like, all right, I'll throw some fire at this guy, and then I gotta jump behind him and hit him or something. Like,
so I would say then I'd be curious for anybody listening, if you've played the Witcher games, like, do you agree with the points they're making? Do you think that these guys have no idea what they're talking about? I'd be curious to hear more from other people who have played the game as well.
Yeah, man, I know you got a huge backlog, but you got to try it one of these days too.
I really do. I do. And unfortunately, it'll probably be a while because so many long games, and after I finish with Mass Effect, I'm jumping into essentially another long game, which will be Horizon finally. But it's like
if
this
you do
year.
Quest, that can be done in 40 hours.
Yeah. this is one of those years where I'm like seriously gonna only be able to play like 5 games like all year because they're all so long. And like I can't complain, you know. It's like, oh man, this company, like I said, this company's giving us like, you know, 100-hour long awesome games for, you know, $60 compared to, you know, a lot of people will complain about like some of the shorter games that are full price.
Be in 6 hours.
Yeah.
Like The Order or Call of Duty single player campaigns, people.
Right.
Yeah. The Order was like actually not that bad of a game. It was just really short. I got it in the dump bin for cheap, so I
actually do want to get that.
I found it pretty enjoyable for what I paid, but if I paid $80 for Canadian, obviously,
yeah,
when it came out, I would have been like, what the hell did I just do? I would have
For
been
sure.
like, send me the rest of my game. I would have been like hate mailing them. So that's what like a lot of what I would say like with reviews, I wouldn't even give it a review score. I would give it a what price I would pay for it.
For sure.
Like
Yep.
I bought it for $5. I got my $5 worth.
Yeah.
If I bought it for $80 and it actually was a $20 game, I should have waited.
If Witcher 3 would have came out in the 90s for what it has, that would have been like a $120 game on Super NES.
Oh yeah, no joke.
3 carts.
3 carts.
The first 3-cart game.
Yeah. I'm surprised nobody ever tried that. I'm sure it was pitched at some point, but
Probably on N64 for Final Fantasy VII. They're like, no, you could still put it on our console. Just we'll have to put it on a few carts. Or I have one of those like tall like dev carts. You ever see those?
Yep.
They look like the three N64 games stacked on top of each
Yep.
other. Like, just put it on one of these. Yeah, but then your sister comes by and she's pissed off and she just kicks your game in half.
They probably
For sure.
pitched the idea for the Nintendo 64 disc drive, and they're like, no one is buying that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want people to buy and play our game.
Right. You know, if it does, yeah, especially if it's like not going to sell well in Japan. You know.
I remember them when they first brought that up in Nintendo Power. Me and my buddy were like, "That's awesome," because they were saying like, you'll be able to like make your own little games. Like you'll be able to make Super Nintendo quality games on it. And I was like, I just remembered that one thing they said, and I was like, I want that thing. And I waited and waited for it to come out, and stopped hearing about it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think the only thing, really what made it not successful is just, it didn't seem to have like any great games. Like, I don't know if it was the price point of the disc drive add-on, but it just didn't seem like they had the titles to sell people on it.
Yeah, there was a lot of things you had to buy to get it to be worth it. You know, it was like essentially trying to sell you another new console, but it not being a new console.
Yeah.
That could be a whole other podcast discussion, dude. Add-ons were always a console failure for the 90s. Nothing succeeded.
Pretty much.
Atari Jaguar had the CD add-on. TurboGrafx had it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sega had it. No one bought it, dude.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
Because people were probably burned by like the Sega CD and were like, oh, not a Nintendo version. Why are they doing that to us? So.
Although I still like one of my collecting goals is I want the Power of Tower, which is a reference to there's a YouTuber. Sadly, he's not making stuff anymore. I loved his channel. It was like almost a big joke, but his channel was called 90s Time Traveler. And basically what it was just a guy who like decked out his house in like straight out of the 90s stuff. You know, he walked around Zubas. He had like,
was he like a 90s Pee Wee Herman?
but it was great. And he did the Power of Tower, which is something that, you know, even back in the day, I thought was something that was going to be the coolest thing. And it's actually one thing that I thought was really cool about the Genesis, but I never had any of the stuff. But the Power Tower is either Model 1 or Model 2 Sega Genesis with said Sega CD attachment. Then you need the 32X. You need Sonic and Knuckles. You need the Game Genie or the Game Shark. I don't remember. I think it was the Game
Genie. Yeah.
And then you need the X-Band, and then you need to top it off with a game.
Sonic
Power
2.
Tower. It's like 4 feet high with all the attachments.
Yeah, that's something that I could almost pull that off. I just don't have a 32X.
Do you have the X-Band, the like modem cart?
I think I did at some point. I'll have to look for that. Maybe I don't.
Awesome.
I
But
had a bunch of the crap, but
yeah. So kind of wrangling things back in here. There's one other little news bit that we had heard about.
Yeah, we kind of brought it up. I think it was the last one.
Yeah.
But now I'm pissed off because it was about Star Ocean Till the End of Time HD remake, and I was pretty stoked for that. But now it seems it's a digital only title,
Boo.
which is a huge bummer. I was looking forward to buying that game because a lot of people figure that is the definitive Star Ocean game. A lot of people seem to feel that way about it anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a bummer. I'm less likely to grab it now. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know, with it being a big release like a Square Enix, they might not let someone like Limited Run do a physical copy, so that's
Yeah,
a
well,
bummer.
We'll
So-
see. We can be hopeful. You know, I'm sure if there's enough like interest in it, maybe one of these. Maybe not limited run, but it seems like some of these other companies that are doing their releases through like Play Asia, maybe they'll get it or something.
Let's rally all our listeners to go and spam the Square Enix page demanding they make a physical copy.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
And for this insolence, make it a
Say that again. You cut out for a second there. I think
Flood?
Flood is having.
Flood! Oh, sorry.
Perfect.
Speaking of MGS, PS4, please make a Metal Gear Solid Ultimate Legacy Collection so I can have all of them in one bundle. That'd be dope.
Well,
Maybe
that
stream it.
definitely would be.
they got the PS3 one, kind of two different versions. One with all the games, one with only a few of them.
If they made an updated PS3 with streaming capabilities, take my money.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so then I think we'll move on to the next topics here, time allowing. So as per usual, when we have guests on, we like to offer them the opportunity to recommend some interesting topics we could talk about. And BMG brought up one that I think is pretty interesting, although I've been trying to think about some ideas, but horror movie games, like games that we would like to see based on horror movies
That are good.
And what I would like to expand on that is not only a movie, but what genre or like game type would you like to see it? So you brought the topic, so I'm gonna let you run with this one, BMG, and then we'll try to throw in some of our ideas. I got a couple I'd like to see, but yeah, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, I asked this same very question to Kid Show Ryukin, and he made a video response to my question. Shameless plug, but he brought up a good point that I've even thought of. He wants a Nightmare on Elm Street game. I've always wanted a new Nightmare on Elm Street game. Yes, we had it on NES, but that's just a goofy platformer collecting bones. Don't see how that really pertains to the movie, but he brought up have it with VR compatibility. Make it a VR compatible game, and it could play out where you have to hide from him, kind of an Outlast kind of gameplay. I was thinking more like Silent Hill. Everything's normal, and all of a sudden you're in a dream state, and like the city you're in is a nightmare. And it's nightfall and hellish.
Or the survival thing would be like trying to stay awake and finding things to keep you awake, like in the environment. Would be
dude.
Really
you
cool.
could get like diet pills, speed, fucking coffee, energy drinks. That would be a great idea.
Going to loud concerts and stuff like that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, instead of sanity meter, you have like a an alert meter, sleepiness and alert, like both.
Yeah. And then when you go into the dream, you have to like you said, like try to avoid him or fight back. Anyway, like Dream Warrior style. I am a knight.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be
whatever you yell
that's
out.
the best one. Dream Warriors in the first one.
yes,
For sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I think that would be a pretty cool. The meter would have to be. I think that would be the tricky part because they'd have to do it like more, less of like a gauge that's like constantly like draining or glowing, where you have to run around and like grab
Like
a cup of
Lost
coffee
Planet?
or
Yeah, like Lost Planet,
yeah,
where you were constantly getting cold and you had to like find things to warm you up and kill things and pick up heat blobs.
Yeah, that could get really like grating and irritating over time, but that is
Well, there'd be like chapters. There'd be a chapter where you had to stay awake, and there'd be a chapter maybe where you'd be like falling
Yeah.
and then trying to keep them awake. Or
So
Yeah,
you're implying the game should be like episodic almost, or in chapter form?
Maybe.
yeah, but not like Telltale style, but like like you play as different characters because there's always like 8 characters in any horror movie.
right.
Oh my god! If Telltale announced Nightmare on Elm Street
What
fucking
about
game for this Halloween,
about,
that would sell like hotcakes.
Yeah.
What about something
definitely.
like Until Dawn, like Until Dawn style game?
Ooh,
Nightmare on
yeah,
Elm
that would work perfect. That would work
That'd
perfect.
be good.
See, that's what I was hoping Friday the 13th would be.
Yeah.
I'm not really so hot on that game. It doesn't look that good.
It looks fun. I did back it, so I'm definitely gonna play it when it comes out. Hopefully they get the Kickstarter version sent out like around the same time as the game is released to the public, which would be, that's one thing that I will complain about is that if you back a game on Kickstarter, you should always get your game before anybody else.
Definitely.
I agree.
But
At least a
You're
week
the
or
reason it got
something.
made, basically.
right. But that's coming out next week or in 2 weeks. I think.
Wow.
Next week.
Cool. I'll
but-
post it on your channel to see how it is.
Yeah, I'll try to do something. Because I definitely, especially backing it, like I feel very obligated to like play it like pretty soon. But yeah, back onto the Nightmare on Elm Street, like in kind of like the Until Dawn style, where maybe like a little bit more in the world, less interface, like you don't have like health gauges and things like that necessarily, where maybe things like choice is an important factor, like
quick time events and stuff like that. Kind of.
yeah, where like characters
Rain
could
stuff.
potentially die and have like overarching effects on the whole story. But I do like, I love the idea of kind of the Silent Hill, like say your character is in the house and they're doing whatever or something happens, some event, and then they're just like in a room and they're catching their breath or something, and then they walk into the next room and all of a sudden it's like completely different and it's like, oh shit, I fell asleep. With like that seamless transition from reality to the dream world, I think would be, that's always the coolest part of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies is
And get Silicon Knights team that did Eternal Darkness to do it. God, that game's so good.
That was good. It would be cool that everyone would want a level where you actually played as Freddy too. So that it'd be like a new game
Yeah, that could be
plus,
another mode.
where like like kind of like the Transformers games have the Autobot campaign and the Decepticon one.
oh sure, yeah.
You'd have to have like the Freddy one where you try to kill everyone.
I almost have concerns that like I don't.
But it sounds
If-
like a lot like that.
If the Friday the
13th
13th game is successful, I like almost have fears that they're gonna try to do the same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street. Like
one.
I
And
don't
then
want
get them together.
I don't want the asynchronous like versus modes like to become
Yeah.
like the go-to for like these kinds of games.
Yeah, definitely. Because then they'll do a Halloween one, then they'll do a Chucky one, then they'll do a.
Hey,
Yeah.
if they're all VR compatible, that might convince me to buy a VR.
VR
Yeah.
would be cool, that's for sure.
VR is meant for horrors. It's funny because they promoted Resident Evil 7 so much, and it's like no one wants to play it because that game's frightening.
I totally want to play that game on VR.
Do it for Halloween.
I need a VR though.
They need to mark those down. I'm sorry, dude. It costs 2 PS4s to get one. I'm good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I saw them here for like $700 for the full kit with the starter game and everything and the move, and then it was like $700. I was like, cool. How many PS4s come in that?
Yeah.
Pick one up.
I mean, the prices will go down eventually. There's, they're still pretty new, all things considered. Like, the Oculus just came out last summer. It hasn't even been a year yet.
Yeah.
So,
and all I'm hearing is about how I kept hearing stuff about how they're hard to find, but meanwhile at our Walmart, we've had like 12 of them forever.
The same one's been sitting at Target for half a year.
Yep. It's, I don't know, maybe in certain areas it is, but...
I'm sorry, gamers just want affordability, but that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah, like I said, especially with how fast Sony likes to drop their peripherals if they don't do well.
Dude, I just bought an Xbox One Christmas time for like $170. That's insane.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that's what I don't get. Like, 'cause I think that's why a lot of people are really holding back to like see how much how good it'll get. Like, oh, cool, yeah, there's 5 or 6 cool games when it comes out, but how much are they going to support this? Or is it going to end up like being like the Vita where they pretend it doesn't exist, but good games still come out from it under the radar?
Right. So, back onto horror movie games.
Hellraiser, make that shit like Silent Hill.
Oh,
so
that was going to be my my go-to.
Mine as well.
Hellraiser.
And actually,
That would be a tough one though.
On a previous episode, I don't remember what episode of the podcast it was, Flynn and I were talking about this sort of topic. I think we were talking about remakes and things like that, and how, for me, as far as film-wise goes, like, I'm usually one who doesn't want to see things remade, but I want a high-caliber Hellraiser remake.
Yeah,
and
they've went really, really downhill.
And I mean, even the original, I mean, it's a classic by all means,
corny.
but it's there's not much to it, and that's, and I think it might have been maybe it might have been the first episode of the podcast when we did the Halloween episode, because I kind of went on a tangent about Clive Barker, how he always has these like really interesting concepts with a lot of his movies, but they just never fully realized. And
like his comics and everything. Have you ever read any of the comics that he wrote or anything?
I haven't.
Well, they're just pretty cool. Like his imagery and everything is amazing, but just to fully realize the idea, like you were saying, doesn't seem to fully happen.
Right. But Hellraiser I think it would be hard not to do that in like a third-person styled game. Like, I mean, the third-person like Silent Hill sort of games or Resident Evil's, like, that's like such a great go-to style.
Oh yeah.
And with Hellraiser, I think more so you
open
need
the box first of all. That's the first thing you got to get to. Like, why are you even opening the box?
Yes. And like visual, I think that'd be tough because like they have to really go crazy with like the visual, less like monsters fighting, but just like the more of the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's more supernatural, and like, whenever they open the box, all the slats in the walls, all of a sudden the light comes through, and
like it's almost just like it's hard to not fall back on hoping for like Silent Hill like sort of things. But then again, like as far as like survival horror goes, like it's hard to beat those games.
It would be puzzle heavy and a lot of like platforming and escaping threats, like environmental threats.
Yeah, especially like sending them to
Cenobite World.
Yeah, like there's a lot they could do with that. And it almost kind of makes me think
to be good bosses, especially like Hellraiser 2 style.
Yeah.
Shit, you could have it first person, like Dying Light. You did a lot of parkouring and escaping threats.
True.
Imagine environmental threats, like fences are completely like barbed wire and like rubbing, like you gotta jump over it and shit like that. And,
the
ground's on fire.
There's actually a game in development right now. I decided not to back it because I didn't have a physical version, unfortunately. But it's a game called Agony, which have either of you seen this game?
It sounds familiar. I think
it rings a bell.
So yeah, definitely like brush up on this game because this is potentially going to be like an absolutely amazing like atmospheric horror game. But essentially like the main thing they're trying to do with this game is like really bring to life just this like horrific like hellscape. Essentially, like I think you're a demon in hell, and you're trying to like get out or whatever, or get to your goal. And so far, like what they've shown, they have some gameplay footage, screenshots, and things like that. Like, good freaking lord! Like this game could be like the like atmospheric horror, like seriously like fucked up, imagery, just twisted, gnarly creatures and like gore and. Oh my god, I'm so excited for it.
Speaking of that, actually, I think I was watching a video today actually about games coming out and survival horror games coming out in the next like year or two, and that was on it. But I think I was feeding the kids at the time, so I didn't really get to fully concentrate on it. So
sure,
that's why it sounded familiar.
And I'm not 100% on it, but I don't think it's a full on like. I don't think it's a walking sim like Outlast, but I think there might be a little bit more. Maybe you use like weapons, like melee weapons or something. I'm not totally clear. A lot of times, if I don't back a game, like I don't really need to monitor the Kickstarter. I'll just wait for the game to kind of come out instead of getting my hopes up for something that I don't have no investment in. But definitely a lot of potential there.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other horror movie games?
Yeah, like,
I have a couple of spin-off ideas. Oh, you go ahead, Jason.
I was gonna say some B movies would be cool too, not just like the big franchises, but those are less likely to sell, so also less likely to get made.
Sure.
But like
the tricky thing about some of the B movies is they'd have to be like, I think with horror movies to be made into a game, it has to be more of like a series. Otherwise you kind of have to like remake the movie or something. And I think that's a lot of times where, like, especially like a lot of the older games, retro games, even though they didn't have the technology to try to like really do what they're wanting to do, but you kind of get restricted to having to, stick to this title. Whereas the series, like, you kind of take them off in some different directions. But trying to think of some like B series.
Well, even like some of the main series like we were talking about, just having something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something where the whole game you're fighting just the one person, kind of like in Alien Isolation, where there was like, like the one alien's kind of like, well, like not just the one bad guy, but you have to hide and you have to get away and you can fight back for certain points, but for the main part, that's kind of what Resident Evil 7 seems like.
Yeah. I was gonna say 7 kind of seems to be taking some inspiration to kind of like the exploitation hack and slash genre in a way. And I've talked about it many times before, but for anybody who hasn't played Alien Isolation, you got to play that game. Quintessential Alien franchise game. One of the best horror games I've played, but the caveat with that is I think you have to play the game on hard to fully get the whole experience.
To get the fear.
Yeah, otherwise it's just too easy, and the tension's not there.
And if you die,
that's how I felt about Last of Us. You have to play Last of Us on Survivor or Grounded. No detective mode.
Yeah, exactly. So what were your spin-off ideas, BMG?
Fuck, what was it? Do you remember that PC fan-made game, Terrordrome, the fighting game with horror characters?
I've heard of it. I don't know much about it.
I've seen the game. It looks pretty cool.
I think NetherRealm should just do that. NetherRealm Studios, they already have Leatherface.
And Jason and Freddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason, Freddy. Well, Freddy was in the last one. I don't know why he's not in XL. But yeah, they used Jason, they used Freddy, Leatherface, Xenomorph, and Predator. Just make an exclusive fighting game.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be amazing.
What would Chucky be?
Pinhead in there. You could have a Maniac Cop in there. You could have
Maniac Cop.
Toxic Avenger.
You have Cujo in there.
Toxic Avenger.
Oh yeah. Toxie.
He could finally be in a good game.
Yeah.
Another spinoff I thought was Koei Tecmo doing a Warrior spinoff called Horror Warriors or something like that, where you'd be Leatherface and you're just slashing and dashing against ghouls and people and shit.
I can't support that idea just because I despise the warrior style games.
Yeah,
But that's fine. I just can't handle those games. Like
They are mindless. I agree that I've never hopped onto the trend.
But I think for the people who do enjoy those games, that could be a really cool concept because they haven't really done a horror warriors style game as far as I know.
Well, what I can say for them is they are like a palate cleanser game. There's not enough substance to really keep you around. But I find them fun to throw on. Like Hyrule Warriors I enjoyed because I love Zelda, and it was pretty quick to beat, honestly.
Mm.
And it was just whatever for a few days. And then
I'm not hating. I'm just
I find more the franchise. Yeah, they get old quick though.
Absolutely not my thing.
Yeah.
Predator would make a good game if they made a good Predator game.
Yeah.
Where you can
have you ever
fight
played
back, but
Concrete
you got to
Jungle?
use. It could be like Metal Gear Solid 3, where it's all jungle stealth, the whole game. That's the premise in third
Oh, yeah.
person. Like,
And you play as
gotta-
Dutch?
yeah.
Well, there's the Concrete Jungle. I haven't played it, but I got a copy thanks to Corpse Flood. And then the well, it's not Predator necessarily, but the old AVP games, like especially the PC games, were pretty sweet, but not like those were multiplayer games.
Yeah, I was thinking Predator 2.
Capcom needs to bring that beat 'em up to the fucking PSN for sure.
Yeah, no joke.
Yeah, that's a fun game. I definitely would enjoy one where you like Concrete Jungle. You played as the Predator, so it's a totally different style. But like actually trying to survive the Predator would be an amazing jungle game. I mean, there's a bit of that in AVP for the last gen, but not really enough. Like there needs to be a whole game that fully realizes that, rather than. I liked that game, but at the same time, you play through the same levels, all 3 campaigns, just different ways, as like an alien or as a predator, or as a human. So I felt that kind of sucked, but at the same time, it was a decent game.
It's all right. Yeah, I have that game. I haven't finished it though. I think I did Alien campaign and Marine.
Yeah, it was a pretty. It was a good like weekend. And then trying to play online, and no one was playing online the week it came out. But
Oh, I bet. Oh, to be fair, you could be Predator in Broforce. You're Brodator.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
Speaking
I
of
will
which,
say-
that needs a sequel. That game's fantastic.
yeah, I haven't played it. I have a friend that played it quite extensively.
Dude,
like I want to
Go
play
ahead.
it, I just haven't.
It was free on PlayStation 4 on Plus like last year.
Yeah.
You have to read the story descriptions. It is hilarious. It's
Yeah.
like a parody of itself. There's one like what was the level? It was called Iraqistan, and it says, "We don't know what Iraqistan did. Fuck Iraqistan. Let's Americanize them."
Yeah, it's a pretty funny game.
It's
I've
basically
watched-
Team America, the game. It's America, fuck yeah, the game. That's what it
Oh,
is.
that'd be that's so
everybody is
right
like
there.
bro in their name, like
Robo-
Bro.
Yeah, Brominator.
Brominator. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Any other ideas for horror movie games?
I
What
would
about-
like more Evil Dead, like where you're playing as Ash Williams.
That would
Yeah,
be cool.
I've just started picking up those games. I've never played them. There's the Hail to the King and what's the other one?
The Xbox one's cool. Just stay away from the Dreamcast one. That one's a piece of shit. Tank control, trying to be Resident Evil but broken.
I think that might be the Hail to the King one for the
Regeneration is the other one for
Regeneration. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I have the Hail to the King, which is on the PlayStation 1, I believe.
Yeah, I think there's. Yeah, I think that might be the one that's also on Dreamcast, isn't it?
And I've heard they're pretty decent games.
The PS2 one I only played briefly when I picked it up, just to make sure it worked, but it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's right at the beginning of me picking up a shit ton of games. It's like right when I started collecting, I grabbed it, and then got 900 other games that summer. So it fell by the wayside, but I definitely should play that soon.
Yeah.
They could make they could honor Michael Jackson's like death anniversary like in a few years and make like a beat 'em up throwback to like 80s gaming of Thriller. I'd take something like that.
Let's make another. And I know a lot of people are kind of the fair weather, trendy people who like suddenly got into the zombie genre when that got cool when The Walking Dead came out. But as a lifelong zombie person who loves zombie games and wants more zombie games and more zombie movies, fuck Michael Jackson. Let's make a zombie game where he's like the zombie like boss.
You could be like some kids trying to beat up the zombies and get Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's the premise of the game. So Michael Jackson returns from the dead, and he's out for your children. He doesn't want their brains. We don't know what he wants with your kids. But he's coming for them. They're climbing into windows.
There'd be like beat it, knife fight mini games. Oh my god, I'm tied to him. Then you have to like fight him with a knife while your wrists are tied together.
And every time you attack him or hit him like in a weak point, oh!
And he dodge you by doing smooth criminal leans out of your way. Damn it! He's doing the leans. I can't get him.
That's we need the indie community to step up and make this happen.
Boom.
Someone could mod Destroy All Humans and make them look like Mars Attacks.
There you go.
That'd be sweet.
Was there? I think there was a Mars Attacks game. Was there?
I don't know. If there was, I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess. But yeah, so yeah, lots to think about. I mean, there's so much that can be done with the horror genre. I think, for the most part, it seems like we had a really good run there during like the 2000s. Like there was a really good run with horror, and it seems like the general audiences are kind of like I think they view horror as more of a niche, which is unfortunate because obviously all three of us are definitely big horror guys, and I could always use more horror games. Fortunately,
I think it's slowly coming back around. With the
Yeah,
popularity of Outlast Trinity, Resident Evil 7, and then Friday the 13th.
Yep.
We might see more.
Yeah, and there's definitely some like smaller projects that seem to be getting some good accolades. Like I said, Little Nightmares, which I haven't played yet. That's supposed to be something else. It's been a digital game for a while now, but Limited Run actually did a release of Lone Survivor, which unfortunately I haven't played yet, but I have.
I have it digitally. I still haven't played it.
Yeah, but looks really cool. And one of the things that I didn't know about it until I actually got the game was made by Jasper Byrne, who is a electronic artist and now game designer, but he did a lot of songs in the Hotline Miami soundtracks. So kind of looking forward to hearing what the soundtrack's like. I hear it's more ambient. It's a very atmospheric horror game. But yeah, there's so many different ways and things that can be done with horror.
There seems to be a resurgence now, though. There seems to actually be some effort put back into it. After like they were so awesome for a while, then there seemed to be like nothing for years. And now they're finally starting to actually come out with some good survival horror games again. Like even the big series kind of petered off and did kind of half-hearted stuff.
Yeah,
obviously,
for sure.
Obviously, Resident Evil hasn't been good for a while until 7, and then people are even leery about trying that now.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed parts of like some of the last few games. Like I didn't mind having a Resident Evil to co-op with someone, so 5 wasn't a complete waste to me, but it wasn't a Resident Evil game by any.
Yeah.
Like anyway, it was
I call it Resident Gears.
Yeah, basically.
Basically, yeah, essentially. Although I will say, I do like the Revelations games quite a bit.
I don't like part 2. I like part 1 better.
Part 1's definitely better, but I enjoyed 2 quite a bit. It didn't live up to my expectations as the first one. Like, I thought the first one was like, all right, Resident Evil's finally, like, after 5, like, they're like, yeah, we're going back in the right direction. And then they put out Operation Raccoon City in 6 and whatever. But I actually, I played it last fall, and I have a review and everything written for Revelations. I just haven't put it together.
Mini reviews, or is it a full review?
Full review that I've been sitting on for quite a while.
Well, shit.
Yeah. But I think
I actually never played either of those. I gotta get. I don't even have them actually. They're one of the only ones I don't have.
Revelations definitely, and I heard there is going to be another remaster. Real quick, BMG. I think I hear you got a lot of background noise again.
Sorry, it's my fan. I'm in my car. I'm actually getting gas.
Ah, gotcha. But I think I read that there's going to be another like remaster. I don't know if it's going to be a 2-for-1 because Revelations 2 was on the PlayStation 4, but I think they're doing like another
first one.
Yeah, I think they're doing an HD remaster of Revelations, which
Just
on
do
the
2 and
PlayStation
3.
3 I think looked fantastic as is. So
Why don't they just do 2 and 3 and they can put out a box set?
or something.
Well, Capcom's not ashamed of doing lazy ports. It's just a port. There's nothing new to add besides maybe
Yeah.
you could stream it on your PS4, but I already own it on fucking PS3, so I don't feel the need to replay it or rebuy it.
And it was also originally on the Wii, right?
If they
Or is it
custom made
3DS?
it where they could separate everybody's stories, I would buy it for that because I only like Jill's story. I didn't give a shit about the Russians or Chris's campaign at all.
Sure. But we do have the Resident Evil 2 remake to look forward to whenever that comes out.
Shit, I forgot about that. That's why I'm hyped for Capcom at E3. I want to see what Remake 2 is all about.
Oh my god. Do you think they'll actually... What if they actually like finally show us some stuff? Because I did see... So originally what it was just a group of individuals were working on, just independently making their own Resident Evil 2 remake. It was basically just a remaster, like full-blown HD graphics and everything, but they're trying to keep the game essentially true to what it was. And then instead of pulling a Nintendo and Capcom stepping in and giving them cease and desist, Capcom was smart about it. And they're like, hey, come work with us and let's make this into the full thing. So it's been a while. I think that happened like a year, maybe a little bit, maybe 2 years ago when that happened. Yeah. So now we're just kind of waiting for information. We know they're still working on it, but there hasn't been screenshots or any gameplay footage or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they're doing like a Bethesda
one remake.
Hopefully they're doing a Bethesda thing and it's just kind of like announce it and it's out pretty much right away. Kind of thing where they're like, it's out in 3 months, and you're like, okay.
Or what if they're like, oh hey, yeah, you guys remember we were working on that Resident Evil 2? Yeah, it's actually available now.
If they're smart, they announce at E3 and it says release date is Halloween.
Yeah, that'd be
just like pulling Oprah, like, look under your chairs. Resident Evil 2 for everybody.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But so I think then, kind of as per usual, we usually take our topics a little bit longer than expected. So I think we'll probably just jump into some of the closing sections here, and we will talk about some upcoming games in the next 2 weeks. So we are looking at games released today, which is the 18th through June 1st, for the most part.
Well, I'm pretty excited for tomorrow because of my love of Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia comes out tomorrow for 3DS. So that's when I'm going to be...
I heard they have a season pass that's $40 for that game.
Yeah,
the game's 40 and the season pass is 45. We were actually talking about it on the last podcast. So it was this big thing that people were pissed off about.
Yeah, kind of silly, but if they're great games, I mean, I it's a drag that they're not doing like the dual release like they did with the previous one, but
Conquest and
yeah,
Birthright.
yes.
Yeah, that was a cool thing to do. But I mean, it also seems like Nintendo, they might as well if they're going to put that much content out and cost as much as a game. But I mean, not every Nintendo game has to come out and have 2 versions. They're already doing that with Yokai Watch and Pokemon.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's cool, I guess, if you're really into those, but
Yeah.
Even being a Fire Emblem fan, I was like, damn it, there goes like $100.
Right. And then also tomorrow, BMG, I don't know if you knew, but they are putting Shadow Warrior 2 out for PS4 and Xbox One.
Oh shit! That comes out tomorrow.
Yep. And I've
Interesting.
heard good things about Shadow Warrior 2. It basically just builds off of what they did in the first one, still over the top and all that fun stuff.
Another
I
cool
call
game, Portal Knights.
Big Duke and Little China.
Yeah. Yeah, Portal Knights comes out tomorrow too, I believe.
What
I'm
game?
not familiar with that.
That's kind of a cool looking little game. I don't really know what to say about it, but
Portal Knights.
yeah, it's a little like RPG-ish game. It looks all right. It's kind of a cartoony looking game, but it was I don't know. It's not really on my radar as much, but it looked all right. Decent.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm kind of checking out some screenshots real quick, and it kind of looks like a blend of maybe like a Dragon Quest Builders in a way.
Yeah, sort of like that. Yeah, basically.
And then let's see. I think we mentioned the Darksiders Warmaster Edition. Wait, that's just a port.
For the Wii U, yeah. But Disgaea 5 Complete is out on the Switch next week too.
Yep. And I don't know how to say the name of the game. Udararo Mono or something like that, which is based on an anime series actually that I had started watching some years ago when it was not available in distribution in North America. So there used to be this website that I go to where as soon as animes were getting shown in Japan, people were uploading them and adding subtitles and stuff. And I started watching it and it looked kind of cool.
Fan subs are the real MVPs.
Yeah, for sure. So there's that. Window or PC PC gamers are kind of getting some love thrown their way for ports. Besides the Bayonetta port, Vanquish is being released for PC.
Oh, cool.
In
I haven't-
4K.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's PCMR for you. But I haven't played Vanquish. I want to get it. I've been intending to get it for PS3, I think, is what it was released for originally. A Shinji Mikami game, action game.
It's out on a 360 as well.
Yeah.
It's
And-
a pretty solid game. Bullet hell cover shooter.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
sounds cool, and
I recommend it. It's a really, really different sort of game. It's kind of a hidden gem in a lot of ways.
yeah, for sure. And then, of course, we had mentioned it's actually the 26th that the Friday the 13th the game is being released. If I don't get my Kickstarter copy on the 26th, I'm going to be a little frustrated, but it's coming. I know I'm getting a physical version and stuff. I don't know if it's available physically. Otherwise, I don't think it is. So,
Oh, let's hope it is. Or else I won't be getting it.
yeah.
It sucks. I'll just have to come to your house to play it.
Right. And then we got Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2, which I know some people are pretty stoked about that.
Also, a game they're finally putting out another version of that I don't think they've really done before. Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final chapters is coming out.
What they're doing, they're
Another
finally.
Street Fighter 2, can you believe it? That game that used to be in the arcades?
Wow,
It's
yeah.
coming to home consoles.
Does anybody care about Ultra Street Fighter 2?
I mean, I guess for Switch owners need Ultra Street Fighter 2 to justify them spending $300 for a console so they could play Zelda, and then this gives them the opportunity to say that they didn't buy the Switch just to play Zelda.
I've heard it's actually pretty meaty though.
Yeah, they've added quite a bit to it.
I've watched RGT 85's kind of like initial impressions of it, and he seems pretty. I mean, it's not a full price game, so I mean, I might pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
I probably won't buy it new, but
if I had a Switch, I would probably pick it up, just because Yeah, I don't know.
I guarantee that's coming to PS4 like later on in life.
Probably. At some point.
Yeah. We'll see what
I don't
happens.
I see Capcom double dipping on other platforms to make money. So
Ultra
Would make-
Turbo, and you'll get.
you know what Switch really needs is an HD remake of Tatsunoko versus Capcom. That's what I want.
Yeah, so you can not have to use Wiimotes.
Yeah, no shit. That
I'd
should have been
rather
on
use Joy-Cons than
PS3.
Wiimotes.
That would have been an Evo fighting game if it was on PS3 or Xbox.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then let's see. Ys Origin is getting a Vita port, which I've heard nothing but good things about Ys. I think there is a physical release for Origin happening. It might be a limited run thing, or somebody else.
That's one series I really need to break into. It's
Yes,
always
same
been
here.
interested me, but I just never have had even a chance to really pick one up for a reasonable price anyway.
Right. And then this is kind of interesting. Less of a serious interest, more of a humorous curiosity. But there is a Star Trek Bridge Crew being released for VR. Basically, it's on the Vive, the Oculus, and PlayStation VR. Don't know anything about it, but with my recent interest in picking up Star Trek games, I'm kind of curious to what this is about. And my fiance is a huge Trekkie, and there's actually a local business in St. Paul that they have like, you can go there and you pay like $40 or something for like half an hour or something of VR access. So
Well, it's pretty
be interested to
expensive,
see
but
if they bring something like that there. I don't know how licensing and stuff like that works.
it might be like getting pay-per-views at bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool. I wonder what like Bridge Crew it is. If it's like next
That would be a
generation,
good
I'd
business.
like to annoy Worf and see how long it takes him to snap.
Right.
Just be like, poke Riker in the beard until he gets angry.
have a
That's all
place
I would do.
called-
I would just bug everybody. I would be the most unprofessional captain.
I have a place called V Arcade. That's genius.
Yes.
That would be badass.
$1 million idea right there.
Well, there's some kind of thing they have I seen online not too long ago where it's basically like almost like a paintball or a laser tag type place
Mm-hmm.
where it's all like physical objects, but then you use VR to go through it.
Oh, sweet.
So you interact, and then it's actually got physical representations of what you're.
Oh,
going
so it's probably more like augmented reality.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That'd be
So-
sweet.
So it's really, yeah, that'd be something cool to have nearby.
So then back looking at the list, going up to the first, I actually didn't know this was a thing. I don't know if this is still a thing, or this might be I don't know if this is an American release or not, because I haven't heard anything about it, but there's a Seiken Densetsu collection coming out for the Switch.
What?
What?
Yeah, that's
Is that-
Japan, dude. That's a Japan release, but it's region free, so feel free to import.
Yeah, that,
Well,
like,
might
why
have to go to my
wouldn't
house then?
why wouldn't they release that to the American audience? Like
Because
pretty,
Japan.
yeah, pretty much. Because Nintendo, I'd say because Nintendo, if anything.
Because
Since
we're not
I'm
smart
Switch.
enough. We're not smart enough to love their releases.
Yeah, like, man, I would love a Seiken Densetsu collection because, I mean, I have a good chunk of the games, but, you know, getting them all, like, in one format, maybe, like, remastered or
if
at
they're
least-
if they're just in English, I'll be importing that for sure. Just
Yeah, I'll
like
have to-
the I Am
I'll just
Setsuna
dump
physical
one on my
edition.
retro, bro.
yeah, that works too.
How
Yeah, I'll
is
have
that
to keep-
thing? Is it awesome or what? The Retro Bro.
Pardon me?
Is the Retro
Oh.
Bro awesome or what?
Yeah, here's a plug for John, the retro bro. Yeah, he sells pies that are pre-installed with games on them, and they work right out of the box. I just hooked it up, plugged in my controller, and was ready to play. And
Yeah, I watched the video and I was really wanting to try one out. It'd be really cool.
like
to
no
review one.
input lag whatsoever. I was actually able to beat Mike Tyson, so you know that's good.
Yeah, there's, I mean, for the most part, emulation has it. I don't think input lag is typically an issue for the most part.
Up
At
until
least-
3D games, like I heard N64 is still hard to emulate a lot
Yeah.
of the time.
Yes, that's my only complaint
PlayStation.
about the box. The N64 games, the only first-party games seem to work. The third-party are broken.
No, that sucks. That's what I would want closer to that, or like arcadey games.
Sure. And
That is
those
cool.
like
That's
it could be the hardware too. Like the Pis, they're pretty solid little computers for what they are, surprisingly so. But I wonder if there is a difference compared to like say running an M64 emulator on a Pi compared to say running it on like a beast of a computer like I have.
Oh yeah, the computer will do it better than the Pi. Pi does good with 2D games mainly, but it does PlayStation pretty good.
Yeah. And just I guess kind of maybe pan up some future excitement and things. I've actually spoken to John a little bit, and he will probably be a guest on the podcast in the future. So,
Awesome.
and he will
Nice.
talk about the Bro some more. And it looks like he's actually has some other things he's working on as other retro Bro products.
Cool. We'll
He
be
shared
able
a
to-
picture of looked like a mock-up design of a box for a Genesis EverDrive.
Right
So
on.
that's kind of neat. So
I look forward to having him on. That sounds really cool.
yeah,
Lots of questions about that. Hopefully it's
Do
not
any
just
of you
that.
own an EverDrive for any
I don't.
console?
I don't.
I had one for the DS, but I rarely use it, so I don't really have it.
I highly recommend the one on Genesis. For some reason, the Genesis is the cheapest one. I paid like $65 for it on eBay. Preloaded, has all Mega Drive and Genesis games as well as Sega Master System games.
Yeah.
It worked perfectly on my Genesis.
I was thinking of getting one for a few of them, but I can't seem to find a. I want one for the Turbo for sure, because Turbo is just ridiculous to collect for now, and I have one.
Oh, the
and I
Turbo
wanna get more
Graphic?
use out- Yeah.
Yeah, that's like Neo Geo territory, man. That shit's expensive.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough just to have one. Just from,
Yeah, and
my
one of
wife and
my-
when she was a kid.
Well,
so.
there are definitely affordable Turbo games for sure, but yeah, some of the
Courage.
The good ones.
the other ones are
The
pretty
good ones
pricey.
are-
One of
are
my
expensive.
friends, I'm not sure what he's up to now. I think there's like, I can't remember how many Turbo games there were, like 120 or something North American. And one of my, or maybe like 140, I can't remember. It's not a huge number. But one of my friends actually he's getting pretty dang close to having almost a complete Turbo collection.
Yeah, that's the guy that
Yeah.
on the MNRGS that that no matter what anyone posts, is like, no, Turbo, don't care.
Yeah, hashtag not Turbo, don't care.
If you want to collect for the TG16, you're better off just importing a Turbo Duo CD console so you can play discs and cards region free.
Well, he
Well,
has.
I do have both.
Yeah, and my friend, he has the regular Turbo. He has the Turbo Duo. He has a modded one. He has like the Japanese version of the Duo. Like he's like full on like.
Yeah, he's going
Does
hard.
he have super graphics? Was there's like 6 exclusive games?
That I'm not sure.
We'll have to hashtag ask him that.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I think then we will probably move on to closing out the podcast here. So, as per usual, I just want to let people know how they can go ahead and get a hold of us. Or actually, no, sorry. Let me back that up here. Let's just talk about any plans we got coming up in the next 2 weeks as far as gaming goes. So for myself, pretty much Mass Effect Andromeda is the plan for gaming in the next couple weeks. I will be playing the Dark Souls board game, so hopefully I can put together a decent review for that. I don't know if I'm going to do that in the next 2 weeks or not, but I will be playing it at least. And then, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So, Corpse Flood, what do you got coming up in the next couple weeks?
Next little while, I'm probably gonna just crack out some of my newer pickups. You know, like some of the Master System games I got. Some of the
Epic
like,
Hall.
yeah, some of the smaller things. I think I've decided I'm gonna try and go for a full set of the Sega Master System after that pretty awesome haul I got a couple weeks, week or so ago. It's really nice. I've got a lot of the bigger titles now, so I think I'm gonna.
Since you're thinking about that, a cool video to check out. Somebody I've been following for a little while on YouTube goes by Mighty Q Dog, and he's part of the Cartridge Club. So Musty Hobbit is friends with him. That's kind of basically how I learned about Mighty Q Dog. But him and his wife, Mighty Q Dog and Mrs. Q Dog, put together a video where he talked about his road to achieving the complete Master System collection, which is pretty neat because it kind of talks about the history of like when he first got the console and like the games he acquired over the year and like which ones were harder to get and things like that.
Yeah, the ones you don't even expect to be hard to get are like really hard to get. Like,
yeah,
I'll be looking forever for a baseball game, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But out of like, you know how I'm not very picky about card games. I don't mind if they're card only or if they're complete in box. I think I might have to be picky with the Master System because so far every game I have for it is at least boxed. I don't need manuals. I'm not huge on manuals, but it would be cool
manuals
to have at least a case.
Yeah, in my experience, collecting for the Master System, you can definitely get a lot of the games with a box. Manuals is tougher. You know, that's where the premium really starts to hit in. Like, if you're fine with it just getting the carts, like, you can save yourself a lot of money, but it becomes a lot tougher to find the games complete and more expensive.
Well, just the boxes is really all I want. I want them basically I want the collection all together on the shelf. Whereas, like, you know, I've got some boxed Super Nintendo games, but I don't keep them in the box. They're all together, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to
Sure.
I don't want to have all the boxes be empty just so I can have all the carts.
Yeah.
Lower down. So it's just more of a having the whole collection together thing, not as much of a being a stickler for having boxes.
Sure. So then, BMG, what are your plans in the next couple weeks? What you're going to be playing? Any games you're picking up?
I want to beat Nier Automata for sure. I just started that yesterday.
Awesome. I want to play that so bad.
I want to get that for sure.
And shit, man, I might have to get that Shadow Warrior too.
Totally.
Well, I'm still hoping to pick up a Switch before I quit Walmart, which is very impending. I've got my security guard's license on its way any day now, and hopefully I'll be starting my new job onto greener pastures.
I can't find a Switch anywhere. I'll buy one when Nintendo makes them readily available, where I can buy them at any store.
We had them about 2 weeks ago, and they lasted all week. And then someone got a hold of me at like the end of the week and was like, "Are you guys ever gonna get any Switches?" I was like, "We had 7 of them for like the whole week, and the last one just sold this morning." So you gotta, you know, but like, I didn't have money, so I wasn't really giving a shit.
Yeah.
And now that, like, you know, I had some money saved up, and it doesn't want to come in. They're just doing it on purpose. Actually, one did come in while I was having my surgery last week, but no one informed me, and it sold before I found out about it. So I was a little rattled because I had everyone at work on alert to let me know, and I was let down.
Yeah.
So,
well, greener pastures.
Lumbering oafs.
Yeah, so BMG, any other plans, any other video plans coming out here? Or
I might do some impersonation sketch videos on my channel for fun. Thought about doing one like on Angry Joe.
Do it.
I've been enjoying your videos. I subscribed a little while ago. I think I was subscribed before, but I swear to God, like a bunch of the stuff I was subscribed to, I had to resubscribe to recently because I was kind of like going like, whatever happened to that guy? And
oh yeah, you gotta hit the stupid bell now, and even that halfway works. Dude, YouTube is a broken mess.
Yeah, because I was subscribed for a while, like, and then Church was telling me about I had to check out your Patreon video, and it became like my new thing that I just yelled anytime anyone was around and something aggravated me. I would yell out Patreon, and then everyone would look at me like I was an idiot.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Because like,
I love that video.
The overnight crew would screw something up that I'd just done the day before, and I'd be like, Patreon! And they'd be like, what the
That's
fuck?
become like my trademark ending. You know, like when you watch
Yeah.
a TV show and it shows something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ending credits thing.
Yeah, so I was like, I was subscribed to him. What the hell? I should have seen that. And then
Yeah,
I wasn't subscribed, so I subscribed again.
Yeah,
So I might be double
that's
subscribed to you now. Who knows?
that's a great video. I love that video.
Oh, thank you.
I know a lot of people like love the Patreon screen, but I think my favorite part is probably where you're like, you're like, oh, I got a Patreon. And he's like, you can donate, but if you don't want to, that's fine. But fuck you.
Yeah, you want to help me out my channel? That's fine. But if you don't, well, fuck you.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while
we
we're
definitely
on,
have to do some videos together or something, man. That's funny.
yeah, there's starting to be a nice little like crew of kind of like the metalhead YouTubers. Like there's the three of us. You got Nintendo Joel. You got Mosley with Drunken Master Studios.
We should just make a podcast called The Pit, and it'll just be all this metal YouTube gamers.
Man, so many great ideas tonight. I know there was some discussions about a couple of these other guys like wanted to do kind of like maybe just like a one-off thing where we just talk about it. But I'll if it's something that's open to invitations, I will definitely keep you guys chimed in. But I think at some point.
Let's get together and call it Blast Podcasting. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, the way you messaging that would be awesome.
Great.
Yeah,
So
they need to do some collabs coming up here. That'd be cool. I need to get doing some more videos here, especially with my sweet new intro. I got to show that off as soon as I can.
Yes.
I had some videos already edited that I'm gonna re-edit now to put in my new intro.
Totally.
Your friend really hooked me up.
Stoked to see it in action. But so while we're on it, then I guess going into the closing segment of the podcast here, BMG, would you want to let people know how they can find you or get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can look me up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Preferably look me up on YouTube, though. I'm Black Metal Gamer.
Yeah. And then for the podcast, if you are listening to us on SoundCloud, you can find all the links on the right side to my YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, to Corpse Flood's YouTube and Facebook, and as well as Sir Flynn's.
Don't forget my Pornhub channel.
Right. And then, of course, if you're listening to the podcast on YouTube, all links will be in the description to all of our channels, including Black Metal Gamer's channel. Definitely show him some support and check out his channel. And as always, I want to encourage everybody who listens to, let us know your thoughts. Feedback is always appreciated. Some things will always be out of our control, but we're always looking for ideas and suggestions and basically anything we can do to make the podcast more enjoyable and entertaining experience for everybody listening.
Yeah, definitely. Tell us what you like. Don't just tell us we suck. Tell us what sucks. So
you could tell us we suck, but it's not going to go very far.
It's not very constructive. You're gonna say we
Yes,
suck. You got to say why we suck so we can fix that.
exactly. So
But who's gonna say that?
yeah, right. So again, Jason, Black Metal Gamer, I want to thank you very much for joining us on the podcast.
Yeah, it was a riot, man.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. And so I guess that will about do it for this episode of the Game Tenants Podcast. Like I said, hit all the links, subscribe to everybody, and we will talk to you next time.
See you later.
Later, folks.